All right, joining us today is Port Adelaide superstar Xavier Duursma, who shot into fame in the AFL world last year. He played pretty much every game for Port Adelaide and is almost a household name across the country now. So joining me here is David Bourne as well. And Xavier, if it's all right, welcome to kind of Hale, and we're talking sport. And I know you're back in Victoria now, kind of just, and trying to stay safe. And we're just going to shoot you a few questions, a little bit about your journey, and we'll see how it goes.
Too easy. Thanks, Luke. Thanks, Dave, for having me.
Nice.
G'day, Xavier. How you going?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Ready to go.
All right. So you've already mentioned to us prior to starting that you grew up in country Victoria, and I understand You went to Foster's Secondary College. Just tell us about what sport meant to you growing up in that community and for that school.
Yeah, so obviously growing up in Foster down in South Gippsland, a very, very small, quiet place, very lovely part of the world. Sport for me is a massive sort of influence, and it's a whole bit of a community thing. Small towns and small communities in regional Victoria and all kinds of regional Australia rely heavily upon sporting community, sporting clubs and activities to reach out in a broader community. So, lots of businesses require sporting clubs for sponsors and all kinds of stuff. So it really evolves all around that. But yeah, sporting's obviously a massive part of my life. And, footy was one, basketball, I loved basketball growing up. Did athletics for, I think very, very long time. I think ever since I was about 6 or 7. And a little bit of swimming and stuff is in there as well. And also a bit of dancing. And I was a dance teacher, so did a bit of that as well.
Nice.
So it kept me very busy.
Great, fantastic. Talk about the synergy between athletics and your football career, mate, in terms of how much that athletics background assisted you in your football.
Oh, it's massive. You get, especially in terms of the running and the jumping events, it's massive help for translation into footy. So in terms of the ones that I was alright at, the ones I did the sort of like the middle distance. That was kind of what I was really good at for most of my like time doing athletics. And then as I got a little bit older, I got better as a sprinter as well. But earlier on, it wasn't as good as a sprinter. I was more like a middle to long distance runner. So like the 400s, 400, 800, and 1500s were my kind of thing for most of the time. And then as I got a little bit older, like 17, 18, I started becoming a bit faster, a bit stronger. So I was able to do the 100 sprint pretty well. But I was also, my best ones are my jumping ones. So I did triple jump and high jump. I got a couple of thirds in state in high jump and triple jump. So they were probably my two ones that I was pretty good at as well. But yeah, obviously really good. Running is very important for me, and I do it quite a bit out in the wing where I play. So it's very, very important, and I think that's definitely helped me and put me in good stead for the role I play now and the training that I have to do.
Great. Look, talk about your junior football days. So, and one of the single sporting wins that you were involved in, and why do you think you still remember that today?
Yeah, so junior footy growing up, I played at Cornwall at Stingrays, which is just a local club at Foster, down in Foster. And I think the one game that stood out for me and why I remember it, I think was that's a good question. I reckon it would have been the last grand final I think I played in. We won it, I think it was 2013. And, maybe the middle one. No, so 2012, sorry. 2012 I think was the most memorable game I think I've had. We weren't really expected to win. We lost the semi-final against the same team we played before. It was a really windy day, and they had a lot of big kids in the team we were playing against, and we were coming up. We're probably pretty big underdogs, and we got there in the end, and we sort of stole away a win in the end. And I remember it very well. I played all right, and I think I got one best on ground, so that's probably why I remember it very well. But it was a very very amazing kind of feeling as a kid. Where not many people thought you were able to get over the top of it, and you did in the end. So especially when you're underdogs, but that's what I like. I like being that underdog mentality, and it sort of suits me. I like having that kind of mentality.
Great. And so, did you always have a goal of being an AFL player, or was there some point in your sort of growing up that you made a conscious effort that was where you were hoping to head?
What's that? Sorry, so can you say it again? My dad.
Yeah, so were you always motivated to be an AFL player, or was there a point in when you were growing up that you decided that the AFL was a place that you wanted to end up?
Yeah. So for me, I think watching as a kid all the way growing up, it was always my number one. It was what I really wanted to do. It was I just saw the footy on TV, and I'd always have a footy in my hand. Going to school on the weekends, kicking it to myself before I could even play junior footy, and I was kicking stuff. It was always in my hand. It was always what I wanted to do. So it was just kind of, I didn't really speak about it much. Footy was always my number one thing that I loved doing and that I loved to play and stuff like that. But it wasn't really spoken about much until 12, 13, 14, 15. When you start making representative sides and start going well, that's when you're really trying to focus on it. And talk to your mum and dad and stuff about it, but it didn't really become a massive talking point until about 15, I reckon, and that's when I knew that exactly what I wanted, and I started to tell people, that's what I wanted to try and do, and made it known that was my kind of goal.
Brilliant, great mate. Okay, let's fast forward to draft night. Let's talk to the boys about what your feelings were that night. I mean, what did you feel going in? Where did you think that you were going to fall? And probably the 10 minutes following your announcement at Port Adelaide.
Yeah, so it was a very, very nervous night for me at draft night. I came into it having absolutely no idea where I was going to go. I was lucky enough to be invited to the actual draft night thing, so I was there at the, I think they invite the approximately what they think the top 20 is going to be like. And so I was lucky enough to be in that bit. So I knew I was probably going to get drafted, which is a good thing, but I still had absolutely no idea where, because all the clubs that I thought were in my range from about 10 to 20 were the picks that I think I was going to go. All those clubs there in that range were all interstate clubs, and I think the only Victorian club in there was Geelong. So regardless for me, I was going to have to move anyway. Anyway, just because I was in the middle of nowhere in Victoria and I had to move regardless. But it just moved. Most of those clubs are all interstate ones, so I'd have to try and just pick myself into one of them. And I just had no idea about where I was going to go, but I ended up getting very, very lucky to pick up my Port with that pick 18, and here I am now.
Fantastic. And I suppose walking through the doors at Port Adelaide for your first sessions and running into those household names, Travis Boak, Ollie Wines, Dixon, Jonas, etc., Westhoff, what was it like meeting those senior players as a young 18-year-old?
Yeah, to be honest, man, I don't really remember my first week at all. It was just all a bit of a blur. Like the same thing, as soon as my name got called out, after drafting on as well, it was all a blur. I just don't really know what was going on. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of happiness, a lot of everything really. It was just a massive blur. I mean, I do remember walking in the doors the first day, and I think shaking a few of the guys' hands and not knowing everyone's names and getting people mixed up. But I think that was just I actually did know them, but it was just because of the nervousness and the excitement all mixed in together. It just kind of, I don't know, I just gave second guessing myself and all kinds of nervous stuff. Yeah. So that was more what I was doing in the first week. Was just trying to get myself, trying to get a good work ethic and get them to respect me as quick as they can. But yeah, at the same time, I was very, very nervous, and yeah, I don't really remember exactly what I was doing. Running out of head probably.
Mate, what was the one thing, and I know there'll be multiple here, but what was the one thing that stood out for you that you were so far behind the other players with as an 18-year-old that you just have had to work so hard to actually get up to speed to become a successful AFL player?
Oh, for me, it was just the gym aspect. I'd done core work and all that kind of stuff, which was in my program, but there's no gym near me at all in where I live in Foster. The closest gym is really about 30 minutes away. So, 35, 40 minutes away almost. So it's a massive trip, and I never did it because I just didn't have time, growing up as a kid. So it was more just keeping my core really strong and my legs really strong. And, I was hoping, as I grew older, I'd hopefully be in a system where I can have the gyms around me to do it. And so for me, that was a massive, massive thing where I needed to lift. When I first got to the club, was that I just needed to get better in my gym work, and I've slowly chipped away at it, and I've put on a bit of size and put on a lot of strength and all almost, year and a half. So I got myself to a reasonable state, but obviously there's still lots to improve in. So, yeah.
Great, thanks for that. I'm going to hand over to Luke.
Excellent. Now, last year you pretty much played every game. That must have been beyond your wildest dreams a little bit. Was there a moment, and you averaged 20 disposals, I think, and a Rising Star nomination. Was there a moment, or maybe a collision, or just a specific in the game where you're just like, wow, I'm playing some big boys here? Could just one moment on the field stand out for you?
Yeah. The first time I really got properly hit was, I think Ben Cunnington against North Melbourne. I went up to take. It was like a bit of a wobbly kick, and it kind of popped up a bit, and so I was kind of in an awkward position, and I had to jump off 2 feet, like directly straight up in the air. And Ben Cunnington came in and just whacked me, just got me straight in the kidneys. And I was down. I had to get rid of the ball. Like I took the mark and kicked it, and I was down for the count for about a minute, 2 minutes, just because I couldn't breathe. So he got me perfectly in the kidney and just winded the hell out of me.
That sounds painful, just you retelling it.
It wasn't heaps of fun, I can tell you that much. But,
and was there a time in a game where you've had someone walk over you to play on you, and you're like, man, I've watched this guy play for like 6-8 years on the television. Now he's playing on me. Was there any moments like that?
Yeah, there was a couple. I think obviously you're playing against a lot of superstars every week, but there's a couple there. I think I could say lining up against Steele Sidebottom was pretty amazing. He's obviously one of the best, or if not the best winger in the comp the last few years. And then you've also got lined up against Joel Selwood when we played Geelong, so that was also pretty interesting. But then every other week, you're always playing against very good players and a couple other players. Who else we got? Who else we got? Oh, St Kilda. Yeah, sorry. What's his? Brad Hill. Sorry.
Okay.
He was also very. He's got some wheels and very hard to defend. So obviously you guys get to see him quite a lot over there in Perth. But he's a very terrific player, and he's got some wheels and got some amazing skills. So he was very hard to play against as well. You're just like, wow.
Okay. Now, that's pretty cool, just rolling those names out. Now, we talk a fair bit at Hale about, what it takes to be a good team player and a good team man. You've been in Port Adelaide now, in probably 2 years. Who's the person that you've just like, this player just takes it to a different level? His unselfishness off the field, on the field. It mightn't necessarily be a superstar, but who would that be that would just be your definition of the best team player at the club?
I think it's a very obvious choice for us, and I think it's Tommy Jonas. And there's a reason he's our captain, and it's just because he's pretty much everything you just said. He's selfless. He takes care of the boys on and off the field. He embodies what we try and at Port Adelaide, what we think a Port Adelaide footballer and a Port Adelaide leader is, and it's just amazing of what he's been able to achieve in his first couple of years as captain. He puts his body on the line every single week, every single training. He's one of the hardest trainers out there. He just does everything right. He's a great leader from the back line. Gets those boys, gets us all organised, and rallies us all every time we get out to training, every time we get out to play. All the boys are behind him for a reason, and he's our keeper for a reason. So. He's that one man that's definitely leads from the front.
That's the same answer. Mitch gave. We spoke to him last week, and he was also just so glowing in terms of Tom as a person and a role model there.
It is for sure. Yeah. You can't really go past it, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't be doing, I think we're going to have 800, 1,000 boys listening to this in due course if I didn't ask you about the bow and arrow celebration. Now, I'm an NBA tragic, and I'm not sure whether you know or you are, but the guy called Wesley Matthews plays for Milwaukee, does the bow and arrow after every 3-pointer. Now, where'd you get it from?
So, it is an NBA, inspiration. I think Jamal Murray, Wes Matthews, and Reggie Jackson all kind of have been seen to do it, and I just love the NBA myself.
Who's your team? Who do you go for?
I did go for Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Russ is my man, so I had to move with him, and I went to the Rockets. So he's there.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. The Rockets.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Now, mate, a couple of last questions to finish up. Mitch Georgiadis, so he's a Hale boy, came through here, and you probably met him for the first time, 3 or 4 months ago. He's now a teammate of yours. Your first impressions of Mitch when he rolled in the door in October?
No, he's a ripping good kid. He's probably one of the close mates already. He's great. He's got some very good skills, but he's a bit of a smart ass, and he doesn't take takes a piss out of a lot of people, and can take the piss out of himself. So it's good fun having him around. He's always a good person to have around. So we enjoy having a couple of beers and stuff together and enjoying our time when we can. But yeah, he's also a bit of he's a pretty hard trainer, and he's obviously got a hell of a lot of talent.
Yeah.
He's going to be a very good player. He's going to be a very good player.
He is. Yeah, you may have seen this last week, and it might even be you doing this with him. I can't remember exactly, but after he kicked this...
I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh, the second goal, he did this kind of tap dance thing. Like, was that his idea?
Yeah,
was he trying to be as cool as you? What was the background there?
Yeah, we said if I kicked the goal, or if he kicked the goal, we'd run over and we'd do that little dance together just for a bit of fun. Just why not, you know?
Yeah, you just make sure you stick with the bow and arrow. That's much cooler, to be honnst. In my opinion,
we thought about doing it. We looked at each other though, and we're just like, yeah, why not? But we'll see. We'll have to review it, and we'll get back to you in terms of what we going forward. But I'll probably continue to stick with the bow and arrow for set shots, I'm thinking. So
yeah, no, love it.
Wait and see. I've got to keep going first. Love it. Blank on the weekend. Yeah.
So. Now, quick look on Instagram, and Mitch wanted me to ask you this, but you've got one of those. You got the blue tick. You're endorsed by Instagram.
Yeah.
What does Mitch have to do to get one of those?
He has to pull out a bow and arrow, I reckon. No, I think it's more to do with the club. I think you have to just go to the media manager at the club, I think, and I think you have to just kind of build up a little bit of a following and then go to it from there. I think you can do it as soon as you like, but
yeah, he's only been there 5 minutes though. He can wait a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
I decided I'd get it. You know, at the end of the year was when I wanted to do it, because at least by then I'd have a couple of games and stuff under my belt. Didn't want to get it straight away. I looked like a bit of a loser, but Mitch has to wait his turn, I reckon.
Okay. And now 2 questions I've been asking everyone on this, and you grew up in Victoria, so I assume your fashion sense is pretty good. But over here in Perth, the Birkenstock is kind of running riot a little bit. I mean, I'm from Sydney originally, so I think that they are more from the biblical time. Now, what are your views on Birkenstocks? Do you own them? And what do you think of people that wear them?
Yeah, no, I don't actually own a pair, but I don't mind it myself. I actually do want to get a pair, but I don't think I'd wear them as much as some people do wear them. I know Miles Bergman, one of our teammates, wears them a lot. Connor, Rosie, and Zach Butters wear them a lot, and obviously Mitch wears them a lot. So I will get a pair actually in the future, hopefully the near future, and then I'll also I'd wear them quite a bit, but I wouldn't probably wear them as much as they do. They seem to wear it a lot, so
it's probably not hygienic in this coronavirus era.
Well, that's true as well. So in terms of hygiene and stuff, you probably want to have closed shoes as much as you can. But hopefully when this passes,
Last question, Xavier. So at Hale here, so we've got a fair bunch of boarders here, and every Tuesday is pie day where the boarders and staff get pies. And some of the things that we see the boarders do with the pies, generally take the lid off, they put sauce in, some put the lid back on, some eat it with a fork, some even eat it with a spoon. How does Xavier Duursma...
That's very disappointing to hear.
Good. It's good that you're on the same track already.
No, I can't have that. Can't have that at all. Any of those students that do that.
Yeah, good.
Seriously, take a step back and have a good hard look at yourself. You just eat it like a normal pie. You pick it up and you bite into it.
I hope every boarder is listening to that.
Put the sauce on top. You put the sauce on top. You take it out of the bag, put the sauce on top, and you just bite into it until it's finished. And don't worry about any utensils. If we're Aussies, we have to eat it like an Aussie. You can't, pretend to have utensils and knives and forks and taking lids off and stuff. You just eat it like a normal Aussie.
I love it. I hope every boarder is taking notes on this interview, because when they come back to Hale, I hope, if one thing has changed, it's the pie eating habit. But Xavier, mate, thanks for spending a bit of time with us. Really appreciate it. All our boys are at home now, so they'll listen to this at some point in the next couple of weeks and months, and hopefully we see you back out there sooner rather than later. And all the best for your career, and whenever you're next over here in Perth, feel free to tee up with Mitch, and you can come have a visit if you want. Really appreciate
it. Sounds very good to me. I'd love to come and say hello to him. But thanks very much for having me, and look after yourselves, all the Hale guys and you guys as well in this bit of unprecedented times, and stay safe. It's pretty important. Yeah,
thanks, Xavier. You too, mate. You have a good day.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Sam.